So here is the high-level design that I created for a software engineering immersive course. Um, I'm I took out all of the proprietary information. I just want to show the sort of like design thinking that went into it, specifically in thinking about the Kirkpatrick model, but also uh, you know trying to bring in some real-world scenarios into how we designed it. So I took the original design and it was an instructor-led training, so it was all live, and we had to make it into a blended learning situation. So, considering that these were non-tech drivers seeking to reskill into software development, we were essentially going from 0 to 100, if you will. So we had to make sure each units were broken down based on that. So I followed a similar pattern to the units that existed, but I added things that would be more purposeful to a blended learning environment. So here's an overview. The first 3 units were going to lead up to a fourth unit that were different tracks based on where the students felt that they were at. And so that's going to lead into um, determining how to place the students in the track would require certain assessments that went along with that. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So there, of course, the tech requirements overview that was essential to the design. And then I went through the anatomy of each thing, what's covered in each unit, including the unit project that would exist um, at the end of each unit. Uh, and then, of course, what each track would cover. And then I broke down each unit day by day, and I'll talk about this in another video, specifically uh, how the lessons were designed. So next, we'll talk about the blended learning model that was designed for this. So um, it includes a live instruction with synchronous learning as well as asynchronous learning, so which included e-learning. This workplace-based problems that I was thinking about, and I actually showed in a different video, that specific design. And then instructor support during the asynchronous learning, as well as independent work such as homework or projects and things of that nature. So the e-learning portion I'll talk about in another video. So the assessments are the most important part of this design. In order for the tracks to work, we needed to have summative and formative assessments that were purposeful to determining what track students should follow by the end of the course. So the summative assessments include the pre-assessment diagnostic, giving us a baseline, then the end of unit skills assessments, as well as the capstone project at the end and the final assessment. The formative assessments would include the end of unit project at the end of each of the first 3 units, the workplace-based problems, and then group activities such as pair coding, scrum practice, and code reviews. In the skills assessments, we're talking about the diagnostic and skills assessment. There's a baseline diagnostic assessment that will allow students to understand, well, instructors to understand where students sit before they even begin the course. This will give a baseline so that when they give the post-course skills assessment, it will give a determination as to how much they've improved in those skills. The plan is to also have an end of unit assessment that will allow instructors and students to determine where they're at the end of each unit. And this will also help to lead into determining what would be the best course to track to take in the fourth unit. So that leads to the workplace-based problem. These were assessments that were built into each lesson. The lesson would create a scenario that is workplace-based, meaning that it's a real-world scenario. So I worked with subject matter experts to design these things. It was given requirements, and then also the purpose of the assessment was to allow for issues tickets, which essentially are a Kanban board type situation where specific tickets would lead to a completion of the coding practice. And then that leads to the projects at the end. There were technical requirements and deliverables for each of the projects, including the capstone, and that is how the full immersive was designed.